From saving fish from the sea to the animals on land and doing it in ways you wouldn't expect. Let's dive into 11 of the most unusual animal rescues. Number 11. Alfonso. Not all animal rescues are from immediate danger. Take for example the dog known as Alfonso. He was in Michigan when he had a run-in with coyotes that led to him falling into the Detroit River. This in and of itself would have been something scary, but then if you can even believe it, he found himself in even more danger. Alfonso was stuck to a piece of ice floating down the river and unable to get off it. Due to that, he had frostbite on his paws and other body parts because he was on that ice for 4 days. He's doing pretty good today. He just came out of the hyperbaric chamber, Dr. Lucretia Greer said. We ran new labs today, more blood work, and his pancreatic values are improving nicely. They're still very high, but they've come down almost a couple thousand points, so we're really happy with that. The rescue was anything but standard as they had to go out on a boat to get the dog off the ice. They physically went out to this small island where he was, and they were able to physically rescue him, she said. He was hiding on this little uninhabited piece of land, but it was very difficult to get there because of the ice. Happily, the dog lived, but it must have been a very harrowing experience for it for many reasons. Number 10. Puppy versus gator. Most people would do just about anything to save their pets from danger or death. If there is any kind of rescue that pet owners would fear, it's having to go up against a terrifying animal to save your own. Such was the case when one puppy owner found his darling dog in the jaws of an alligator. This happened in Florida, of course, where Richard Wilbanks, a 74-year-old man, ran into his backyard pond, wrestled the gator above surface, and pried its jaws open to free his little dog named Gunner. We were just out walking by the pond, Wilbanks told CNN, and it came out of the water like a missile. I never thought an alligator could be that fast. It was so quick. Just as quick was Wilbanks, who could feel his adrenaline going as he felt the urge to save his dog from the alligator. According to him, holding down the gator wasn't that difficult, but getting the gator to open up its mouth to free the dog? That was extremely hard, according to him, which makes sense. Gators and crocs are legendary and infamous for their bite force. And do remember that this was not a spry young man. This was a man in his 70s who very easily could have also been the victim of this gator, but instead, he was the rescuer and now has a story that even his fellow Floridians would be jealous of. Number 9. Oarfish. Oarfish are forever going to be a very curious thing found in our oceans. They're the largest of the bony fish, and when they were first discovered, they were believed to be a hoax. But in fact, they're very real, and they've been discovered on beaches all over the world, and they can get quite big. But in 2019, a duo from Baja found a young oarfish in the waters and were able to rescue it, after they revived it, of course. Noah and Jacob Thompson from Texas found the juvenile oarfish struggling near the La Capilla in Baja California's East Cape region. After discovering it, they brought it into the deeper waters, and when they did, the oarfish was able to swim away. You might be wondering, well, why is this an unusual animal rescue? That would be because the oarfish are famous for being deep-sea fish. Typically, humans don't see them when they're alive. Their bodies are meant for the deep oceans, and so when they wash up on the shores, like in the picture before, it's usually because they're already dead. So for these two guys to find an oarfish and then be able to revive it and send it back to the deep waters? Yeah, that's rare. What a couple of good Samaritans. Number 8. The month-long journey. Last November in Fairfield, Connecticut, a dog named Lexi was with her owner, Brandy Solomon. They were going to a farm that was owned by a friend. Nothing wrong with that, right? Except when she was there, she got spooked by something and ran off into the nearby woods and got lost. What happened next was nothing short of astonishing, because the dog was gone for over 41 days. Hundreds of people started to look for Lexi, and when word got around that Lexi had been spotted by security cameras near a certain spot, Brandy immediately went to the area. "I think I'm still in a little bit of shock, honestly," Solomon said. "I think it's hard to believe she's sitting here right next to me after 6 weeks of day and night searching for her." Lexi herself was fine, surprisingly enough. She had only a few small injuries and had lost a few pounds, but was overall okay and was more than happy to see her owner again. "She recognized me and her tail started wagging and she started happy crying," said Solomon, "and we loaded the trap into the car. She ran right inside, cried for my whole family. The trap in this case was strategic traps that were placed around the area where Lexi was spotted in order to find her. It may be atypical, but it worked, and that's what matters. Number 7. Recyclable kittens? In New Jersey, a very curious incident happened that almost cost 3 kittens their lives. A backpack that was put onto a conveyor belt in a recycling plant. Luckily, workers heard the noise of the innocent little kitten crying. Someone, who obviously had a black hole for a heart, had put the kittens in a backpack and abandoned them in a recycling bin. The bin was loaded up and poured in with the rest of the recyclable materials and almost crushed. Thankfully, the kittens were rescued and were found to be in good health. What's more, this rescue was done right before Christmas, and in a true Christmas miracle, they were all adopted. Burlington County Freeholder Director Felicia Hobson had this to say on the matter. While abandoning animals like this is unconscionable and those responsible should be prosecuted, our entire board was relieved to learn the kittens were unharmed and that they now have new homes with loving families. We cannot thank these workers enough. And as a small gesture, we wanted to give them some additional supplies to help make the holidays even brighter for their new companions. What do you think the punishment for such a horrible act should be? Let us know in the comments below, and if you're liking this video, be sure to hit the thumbs up and subscribe buttons if you haven't already. Number 6. The trap, the dog, and the hamburger. If there is one thing that leads to animals needing to be rescued, it's that of illegal hunting and trapping, also known as poaching. Horrible people will line forests, rivers, lakes, and more with their traps in order to get ill-gotten gains so they can make money, and they don't care who they hurt, even if it's innocent dogs. A young dog was caught in an illegal coyote trap. Because it couldn't get out, it was there for days in agonizing pain. When it was discovered by people, they weren't able to get close enough to it because the dog was so afraid. So what did they do? They fed it food. Specifically, they fed it a hamburger. The intent was to show that they were there to help. To ensure that the dog didn't get away, they used a soccer net to trap it so it wouldn't try and run, and with a dedicated group of volunteers, they were able to free the dog. The dog was able to be given to a family who named it Hermione. This lucky pup is now living a wonderful life in a happy home. And if you're out and about and see any illegal traps, please report it to the proper authorities. Number 5. Sealed within treadmills. When you hear that an aquatic animal is in need of rescue, you might think it got caught in pollution or litter or abandoned nets or something of the like. But for one seal pup in Wales, it got caught in a gym. No lie. Apparently, the little guy had come from a river and somehow gotten its way inside the gym and then found itself among the treadmills. I mean, cardio is key, but that silly pup can get its cardio in by swimming. Come on. Needless to say, the gym crew were a bit shocked by its appearance and then carefully ushered it back out into the water. Just 2 weeks, the same seal pup found itself stuck in a ditch full of oily water. Thankfully, the seal was eventually put into a rehab center for wildlife, where oily water and treadmills won't be bothering it anymore. Number 4. Beating wildfires? Piece of cupcake. Wildfires or bushfires are no joking matter, and as residents of Australia and California will happily tell you in recent times, they're not just a danger to people, but to the various animals that live in the affected areas, and they need to be rescued. In 2018, the Paradise wildfires in California caused a whole lot of animals to flee for their lives, including a pair of donkeys that ran down the road when the blaze tried to get them. Thankfully for the donkeys, they were able to run into a group of firefighters that were able to rescue them in a most curious way. They used cupcakes to lure them away from the fires and to a safe area. Apparently, the donkeys liked the cupcakes quite a bit. Good thing the firefighters had the tasty pastries handy. Number 3. Stuck on you. Seeing a cat in the middle of the road isn't exactly a new thing. Seeing a cat stuck in the middle of the road in the literal sense is something that is absolutely new in its own way. Chuck Hawley was just driving down the road when he saw something odd. Other cars were driving over a black item, one that at first he thought was a box, but instead it was a cat, one that apparently had glue on its paws and was quite literally stuck to the road. Oh no! What's more, this glue was very intentionally put there, which means someone was being very cruel. Thankfully for the kitten, Chuck stopped in the middle of the road, was able to free the cat and take it home. After cleaning up its paws, he decided to keep the cat and name it Sticky. Appropriate. It's stories like these that help you have a little faith in humanity again, even if it's only for a little while. Number 2. a fleet of stranded dolphins. In August of 2020, something very unexpected happened. A hotline operator got an urgent call from the harbour master of Wellfleet, Massachusetts, alerting them to a severe situation where 45 dolphins had become stranded. If you're curious how this could happen with so many dolphins, that would be because of the terrain. It was known for its hook topography. This type of thing actually strands animals somewhat regularly. Not wanting to risk a mass death, the operator called in the entire rescue squad to rescue the poor dolphins. By the time they had gotten there, 2 of the dolphins had already died. The team were racing against the elements. The muddy area made it hard to do anything. The tide was coming in, and it was getting hotter with each passing minute. The team had to adapt on the fly in order to save the dolphins. Though it was touch and go, 39 of the original 45 dolphins were able to be saved. Number 1. Koala sniffing dogs. You no doubt know that dogs are famous for their sense of smell, which can help them detect food when they're hungry, bring down criminals holding drugs, and more. But in Australia, we have a more specific use for these dogs. Canines are used to sniff out koalas in trouble. As noted before, wildfires are no joke, and dreadful bushfires in Australia are just as bad, and are literally wiping out most of the koala habitats, which obviously puts the koala population at extreme risk. So dogs are trained to sniff out these creatures in their destroyed habitats so they can be rescued, healed, and put into safer areas. For one such canine, Bear, an Australian coolie dog, he was not only good at his job, but he was very good at his job. In about 6 months, he personally sniffed out over 100 koala bears for rescue. That is a very good boy. Thanks for watching. What did you think about these amazing and unusual animal rescues? Have you ever rescued an animal in need of saving? Has an animal ever rescued you? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you next time. Bye!